Janbeck fight week.
Hey, boxy time. Get fired up. It is Inside the Box, and we're back, and this ain't no April Fools. Hey, Rafe, you got to unmute your microphone if you don't mind. BC, that guy that you come to see, it's Tuesday, April 1st, 2025, but look at that gentleman, Stashola from Southeast Michigan. I think I got that right one time. He's the king of Fago. He loves all things cruiserweights. And when it comes to the New York Times, this man sells a lot of books. It's Rafe Bartholomew. And Rafe, you know that we're good friends. We know that I love your daddy. So why don't we just get it on? All right.
I was born ready, Brian, and I'm glad. I was talking to the one and only Mauricio Suleiman this week. Yeah, about a new weight class that maybe I could lord over. I call it the Kroger weight. All right. Shout out to Dr. K. All right, he's lacing me with these discount sodas. Dr. Kroger weight champ right here. I mean, I can put him down. Yeah,
I love that. I love the way that sounds. Do you love the way that tastes? Does it taste like victory?
It has a taste. It does.
Okay.
I mean, how much ass comes with your victories?
How much ass comes with my victories? Are you talking in the
well, I mean, it has like an assy taste.
Oh, assy. Okay. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Okay. All right. Rafe, Dave Sandina's here wondering about that picture behind you, but this ain't no April Fools. These are two middle-aged men excited to talk to you about the box.
That's right, baby. Janbeck fight week. Let's fucking go, Brian.
Yeah, baby. Wow, we have early returns here from Sandine, one of our favorites here. Thank you for the support. Happy April Fool's Day to our box boys. Hopefully, Rafe Gates gets a taste of these super chats. He's starting to, okay? How do you think he bought that Fago right there? Okay, that Kroger.
How you think Brian is living well out there in north southern Connecticut by paying fools like me? No. He's not. No. He's got me chained up where you don't even want to see who else he's got chained up down here. All right. And he's got them in these rooms. They're all hooked up to CCTVs. I don't know what kind of anal malware he's charging to even for people to even watch these feeds he's got. But I mean, this is some devious stuff going on in the BC basement.
I think it's time I let you out of the box, okay? And by the way,
I listened very well. Why would you let me out?
R.I.P. to that fella. By the way, man, we are set to recap Two Girls, One Ring. When Michaela Mayer and Sandy Ryan did the business. We also had a Zepeda Farmer rematch, a few other things to get into. Hey, Grandpa, call him Mr. Cancer. Mr. Cancer, a lot of things going on. Okay, yes, Sid White is already on it. Top Rank and PBC getting together potentially here. Very interesting. We've heard from one half. We haven't heard from the other, but then again,
you haven't heard from Mr. Cancer yet.
And again, we don't usually do that. I'm sure we're going to sprinkle in some ridiculi. Breaking news this morning in the world of box: The Ring magazine signs Mike Coppinger away from ESPN. The top operator is now. I used to always say, if you're going to Khashoggi somebody in this Riyadh season, let's get Cop up there. And apparently now he's playing for that team. So there you go.
I think I would bet on him being indicted at The Hague before in front of the International Criminal Court for some human rights violations before the Saudis take him out.
There you go. There you go. What a wild time in the box. Wow. Also,
I thought you were going to hit me with Amir Khan teasing that there's only one fight that still would get him out of retirement, out of bed for on his Instagram.
Is that Anthony Joshua's wife, or what are we talking about here?
No, it's just it was very obvious. Just a picture of like an AI picture of him and Manny. One more time.
Hey,
One
dude,
more. Like we used to be sparring partners. Now
those legendary sparring
we're gonna wash it out
at
together.
in that old laundromat known as the Wild Card Gym. And Eric, put a little water on your bowls, okay? Thank you very much. Wow, I got the burps here. I got the burps going on, but that fits right in. I do have a stick. Not looking to show it though, Dwyer. Thank you very much. We do know what you're doing over there by the hot dog stand. Rafe, talk to me if you will, Dusty, about your life at the moment, your personal life, your health, the status of your stash, whether the ginger drapes match the curtains and the carpet over there in Bartholomew land.
Oh, well, I cannot speak in Bartholomew land. Thankfully, I've not seen the carpet down there on Sir Rancis. And what was his brother's name? Didn't he have there?
Yaduan. No, it begins with a Y, right? Laduan, Yaduan. There's two other brothers.
My Padawan learner Bartholomew. Look, I haven't seen their carpets, so I can't tell you what color they got going on down there. But we know this well in the Bartholomew household. I got a different color for you at every different part that you want to look at. It's almost,
I don't want to look at any of it.
Like if it's me and you and we're having like a game of sexy striptease, like in the old TLC Red Light special, commercial. I believe it was a music video, but you know what I mean. They're playing the striptease. They're taking off one thing. You're gonna see a different color every time. Every time.
Wow,
Yeah.
Wow!
I'm a patchy motherfucker.
Yeah, Apache. That is your All right, there you go.
That's your little Patch Adams. Also, you never know.
I have to say, I had a 3-night stretch recently where I was not sleeping well, and I was up in the middle of the night. And you know what I found out about finally?
The birds and the bees.
Pablo Torre. I share the studio with Pablo. I saw part of your episode initially. I didn't realize
it sounded boring. Didn't listen to it. Came back. Still looked boring.
I didn't realize, by the way, right? Great joke.
Heard Keith Thurman was going to be here. Sounded boring. Found the man. Still sounded boring.
I have to say this, even though I share the same chair as Pablo, even though he's probably worn some of my gas effects in that chair, I didn't realize how good his show is, dude. I'm being dead serious. I watched both Prince episodes. I watched the Wilt Chamberlain 100-point episode. I watched the 4-point play Rafe one in full, where we talked Bakegong and telenovelas. Dude, I like that guy's show, and I really enjoyed your episode. So if any of you out there have not checked out Young Rafe over there on Pablo Torre Finds Out, I didn't even realize he was of the persuasion of the Philippine.
Really? That you are way behind on the Pablo Torre experience. Then you were asking what I've been up to. I've been rewatching Top Boy on Netflix. So I'm afraid I'm going to be hitting you with terrible Britishisms all throughout this.
What is Top Boy about? I haven't seen
that. Bless, fam, bless. It's like I hate to compare anything to The Wire, but it's a hood show based in the UK with top blokes, all about wastemen, binmen, lots of fams. Give me some food, fam. You know what I mean? And it's in my head, man.
All right.
I wish Carl Froch would make an appearance. They do go up to Liverpool a couple times.
This is a nonfiction show, right?
It's fiction. It's a series. It's okay. Just like if you like New Jack City, if you like Sugar Hill, if you
juice, baby,
give me some juice. Yeah, you want the new juice from the UK. This is it. I mean, it's not new. It came out first like 2013. There were 2 seasons, then they redid it a little bit later. But yeah, fun show, good actors.
Sip the juice because I got enough to go around, and the story takes place uptown. You know what I'm saying? Hey,
shout out George King. Put the crown on, baby.
I'll watch your show on Netflix if you watch The Kings of Tulsa. You know what I'm talking about? So there's a 3-part whodunit series about. Do you remember that time some dude in Tupelo, Mississippi sent anthrax to Obama?
Yeah, a lot of people. Wait, you sent it to Obama? I
Well,
remember
it was technically
anthrax.
ricin. It was technically ricin. But
Oh,
yes.
the guy watching too much Breaking Bad, clearly.
Yeah, and then they blamed it on. Then they framed it on an Elvis impersonator. Dude, you got to see this thing. This is Tiger King levels of craziness. Okay?
I see. All right, I'm down. And by the way, I didn't mean to detour us too much from the lathering Pablo's Torre balls, because the show is really good, especially those deep dive episodes he does. It is, I mean, I told him this, a couple of times, even long before we were even really thinking about doing the episode with me. It was not like some kind of plan for me to slowly get in there. But the way they choose stories and find things that really aren't being covered anywhere else, that are a lot of fun, nostalgic, just different. It might be the first thing since Uncle Chris Connolly and the rest of us went down with the ship at Grantland, that you get some of that, like, where the hell did they find this every once in a while from? And I love those kind of stories.
Do you think Mr. Skipper would allow Pablo to find out the true story behind the blackmail situation with the coke dealer, or that's inappropriate?
I'm guessing that we may not find that out through any Meadowlark media thing. I would love Pablo to find out what John Skipper's experience was like in the zone, in the sport of boxing. Because I mean, as the leader of ESPN, as first when he's running content, and then the CEO of the whole company, Skipper's was renowned for loving soccer, having this sort of erudite. He liked the classier side of sports, and so it was funny to see him all of a sudden slumming it for like 2 years with Oscar's fishnets, Eddie Hearn's takeover, trying to basically having to do his best, and I imagine he did do his best dealing with the absolute insanity that you encounter in boxing, and I'm sure is even worse when you are in that kind of you have a platform and promoters are calling you to get their way on your platform, and you're having to deal with the most stubborn, sneakiest, meanest people in the world.
Yes, I would agree with that. I thought DAZN was going to be hitting us over the face with some fights. Actually, they will be coming up. Shout out to that May 2nd Times Square card. I'm getting fired up for that one. Saul in the house, straight off the gutter in Louisville. Shout out to him, representing Muhammad Ali's hometown. We love that. That's about it. Hey, we're gonna have a great show for you right now, today, this moment, sometimes maybe good.
It's gonna be a challenge.
Sometimes maybe shit. Okay. And you did challenge. I know I've said this before. You did challenge me. You're saying there's a challenge to finally put some sound drops on here. Have I done it today? No, but I will. I'm working on it. All right. Let's make this podcast great again.
Bring your sounds to the board.
Yeah. Just like Kid Rock showing up in the Oval Office. Let's make this great again. Okay. There you
know that there is a Kid Rock pavilion at the Easter Market, farmers market here in Detroit. It's great.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Cause he's historically has supported the area a lot. I think he still does, even though politically, I think him and Detroit leaders are probably not on the same page anymore.
Yes.
A little too much Bud Light going around here. But any case, but he has donated to a lot of things. So there are civic, there are like halls named after him. You can go stand next to the plaque, like the Kid Rock Pavilion.
I need to come to Detroit, and
it's a cool town.
And you and I will just record our own bro documentary on cell phones where we tour the Masonic Lodge and then speculate about the basement of the Denver airport and this will be good stuff. I'm down with it.
We go out there in front of the Joe Louis fist and
yes,
and, yeah,
no fisting though, if you know what I mean. But see is Bob Seger still around there or no?
I have not seen him, but he could. I forget who that's one of those folk singer guys, right?
Oh my God. No, not a folk singer.
What does he do?
He sings songs He sings songs like Against the Wind and Night Moves. And, come on. This guy's a heartland rock and roller with that Detroit boogie sound. Come on.
I bet if I heard the songs, I would recognize them. But this is
like a rock. Come on.
Oh, yeah. The Ford commercial.
Yeah.
I was strong as I could be. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I love his jingles.
I was getting her. I was using her. She was using me, but neither one cared. We were getting our share. Yeah, come on. Working on a night moves. Old time rock and roll. Serenity now knows right here. Okay. Also,
I do know that one. Yeah.
Sandine, who, his band was the Silver Bullets. Thank you, VA. Sandine already back supporting this show. Go to Detroit with Rafe and check out the Henry Ford Museum.
And the Detroit Institute of Arts, first of all, one of the best art museums I've ever been to. I love that place. Oh shit, my bad. Is that bloke? That's not bloke. Yeah, the DIA, incredible art museum. Also one of just a handful of museums here in the States where you can see one of John Sloan's early 1900s paintings of McSorley's old alehouse.
Oh, I like that connection right there. All right. Have you found, not like I'm interested in starting this boxing podcast, it's just you and me really catching up in real life and the others are listening. Have you found a dive bar? And I know you're not a huge bar guy in regular culture. Are you a regular?
What's
bar?
Regular culture?
Are you a regular once a week, twice a week, stop by the local bar and have a beer? I never pegged you as that guy.
Not since moving here. I got a little older. I got a little lazier. You got to drive a little farther.
Yeah, like if you had friends visiting, you might. But have you found a dive bar that makes you feel something that McSorley's makes you feel?
Not exactly McSorley's, but there's a lot of good dives with good greasy food, with good cheap drinks. I mean, Detroit is known for that a little bit, but I would say that you can find great little places like that in every city. Man, okay. LA, I still proud LA. I had some good ones.
Indeed.
You might bump into Oscar in Old Town Pasadena. That was not a dive bar nor a cool bar. But
Oscar was a freak. You
might Oscar might steal your girl there.
He's still a freak.
Now there are bars in Brooklyn where what's his name? Ricky
Lopez,
little DSG man. Yeah,
Ricky Lopez.
He might try and steal your girl in Brooklyn. You never know. Watch your back. While freaking what's his name? Johnny Dang is sitting there just watching it all unfold. Like, yes.
TV Johnny back in the. By the way, I saw TV Johnny at the tank fight. He was ringside front row.
I saw pictures.
Yeah. Final question about your life. Will your dad be joining the chat today on today's podcast, or he probably didn't know about it? We normally do it Thursdays later.
It's a little off schedule. I think he's at the doctor right now. No, just checkups, just doing
little prostate action, maybe.
Yeah, getting the poke up there.
Okay. I had that once. It really ruined my manhood, but not as bad as my vasectomy did, though. That's just my own experiences. You know what I mean? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. How bad was the smell?
The smell?
I mean, what I've read about vasectomies and like when they
the smell, the burning smell,
the burning smell of your nuts. Yeah.
Yes. Awful. Especially because
on an open fire,
especially because the 75-year-old Vietnam veteran who only works once a month, and I didn't realize that, refused to give me strong enough, products to prevent that. So I felt everything.
So he was giving you like some Big John Fury motivation while singeing your sack.
I'm not gonna lie, he called my wife in to try to calm me down because I was getting so angry that I had 3 needles to the bag and I felt everything. Everything.
It's all in your head. They had to call Tevin Farmer's wife into the corner to get to put the battery back in him in the middle of that fight this weekend.
Yes, they did. Do it for your family. Also, Saul support in the chat, and we love this guy. I'm Rafe, and we're rolling out to find Detroit best diners.
I do know where I used to live in a neighborhood where somebody had a Michigan vanity plate that said G. Fieri.
Oh, that's disgusting.
I always wanted to see who was behind there. Who would be in there? What are they doing?
Final of the final questions. have you found a super sloppy place to eat? Like, do you have a hot dog stand, a burger joint that's your guilty pleasure there in Detroit? Like
A
if you're gonna
go-to
get
Coney.
gross, where do you go there?
I mean, look, truth be told, I don't know if it's necessarily the best, but if you're visiting me in Detroit, I'm taking you downtown, and we're gonna take you to both. I think you'd have to do both, even though it's a little bit of blasphemy to do both. We'll take you to both American and Lafayette, Coney Island. They're right next to each other. The two dueling iconic franchises of Coney's in Detroit, and you have to eat chili in both. Yeah,
outside the taste of freeze. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. All right, let's get into the box a little bit this weekend. And Rafe, I don't know. I'm going to guess you didn't make the flight to Las Vegas after all, because the only paint I saw was coming out of the nose of Sandy Ryan and the eye of Mikaela Mayer after that headbutt. But here's what I'll say about part 2 of their welterweight title bout. Was it the same exact action, intensity, and spite as their first one, which was a Fight of the Year candidate last year and made Mark Kriegel say ridiculous things about women's boxing? No. But you know what? It was so damn entertaining. Now, I still hate that elite women's boxing is still archaically 10 rounds, 2-minute rounds. But, dude, you had Sandy Ryan trying to actually box this time. Mayer forcing her into a stand and trade. Dude, what is it about welterweight Mayer? She stands like she's Rocky Marciano, flat-footed, and just throws bombs. And this war of attrition, it was wider this time. There wasn't a debate about the scoring, but I have so much respect for these two ladies. Am I wrong, Rafe?
I tend to agree with you. It was a fun fight again. They both brought it in their own ways. I thought, and it played out a lot like these are true women welterweights now. And I think that's the secret here for Mikaela Mayer. I'll never get it right. I'll be talking about that Yahoo broad forever. But yeah, Mikaela Mayer at welterweight. I mean, you could tell that she's very comfortable at 147 pounds. She seems to take punches better. She seems to have more power, and whether that's just the more weight and more strength that she's bringing into the ring, or also something that she's tweaked in her technique. It probably is a little bit of both, but she looks so comfortable and just seems to be getting better and better with each performance in that division. Now, she has only had 3 fights and only fought 2 opponents in that division. And women's boxing is, even at the lower weights, is not the deepest talent pool to choose from. So, sure. But there's a part of me that says, before we say, oh my goodness,
my God,
yeah, oh my God, she's a beast now, because she looks like one. Honestly, like they're not. I mean, a beast in the ring.
She's attractive. What are you talking about? I mean, come on, man.
She's fighting like a tough Barbie member in there, and
Barbie member.
Well, I don't know. She ain't no gang member. She's fighting well. She looks like she's an excellent fighter, at a beast level fighter at that weight. But I would like to see her continue get a few more fights under her belt at 147 pounds to see how if the way if it's a stylistic thing, how good she's looked against Sandy Ryan. If it's just, those fights turn out well because of the way those fighters, their styles mesh in the ring, and Mikaela Mayer has this slight edge in those very competitive fights, I think we could say, after watching it twice. And look, if that unification, I want unification at 147 happens, that seems to be at the top of the list for Mikaela Mayer next. I think that Lauren Price, let's do it.
Dude, Lauren Price has 3 or 4 belts. She won it from Natasha Jonas. If you recall, the fight before the first Ryan fight, Mikaela Mayer made a debut at welterweight and lost a split decision to Jonas, and a kind of a hard luck defeat. She would win this rematch 97-93 on 2 cards, 97-92 on the 3rd. And according to CompuBox, Mayer outlanded Ryan 178-146. But the fun part was the power shots. Mayer landing 43%, Ryan landing 42%. I actually felt bad for Sandy Ryan. I didn't think she had an argument to win. I like that she got into like ridiculous war class shape. It seemed, tried to box from the outside, couldn't really put it together in terms of enough volume to match Mayer. And I think, you know, when you look at the punches that moved each other, Mayer was consistently landing the bigger ones. So the right person won. But do you think Sandy Ryan is still considering, look, there's a group of Renaissance, popular, amazing crossover women atop the sport. And then there's seemingly everyone else. But if there's a middle ground, do you think Sandy Ryan is still sub-elite or near elite? Is that reasonable to say?
Yeah, I think so, because the way that, just by the eye test, the way that Mikaela Mayer has looked in these last two fights, she looks like on about the same level as Taylor and Serrano to me. Like, you know, and obviously those ladies are a little long in the tooth, maybe near not in their primes of their respective careers. But you know, just straight up eye test, you're like, this is an elite woman's boxer right now. And Sandy Ryan is pushing Mikaela Mayer, you know, to the limit in that first fight, and then at least to compete very hard and make some adjustments. It's a couple of things I liked about Mikaela Mayer in the rematch is, you know, so Ryan started boxing a little bit early and was having some success and would land some really nice single power shots. But then around the third round, Mayer changed it up a little bit, where she started leading more and sort of using her ability, instead of just fighting off the back foot and sort of fighting like the tall fighter who you know, who protects herself with her jab and with her ability to bring that crossover. She was stepping forward with it, starting to walk Ryan down, forcing the action a little bit, in a way that a lot of the time she found herself beating Ryan to the punch. So by the time Ryan found an opening and did, like you said, she landed 42% of her power shots, a lot of them as single shots in many rounds, looked better than the individual maybe best shot that Mayer was landing. But the accumulation, the fact that so many times Sandy Ryan wouldn't even be able to initiate her offense. I'm trying to avoid terms like get off, you know. But
those were the viewers watching at home,
yeah,
right?
She started beating Ryan to the punch. And then towards the middle of the fight, when Ryan, you know, realizes she's losing these rounds, wants to step it up and try and turn the tide back in her favor, and starts trying to push back more, then Mayer is versatile enough to flip into that more defensive mode, where she can fight off the back foot for 30 seconds at a time, catch Ryan coming in a little bit. Basically, it was like, you know, first I'm going to dictate to you, then you're going to try and give it back to me, and then I'm going to fight a slightly different way and beat you that way too. It was a very, very impressive performance.
Zoe the Cat showing up just in time for a women's boxing conversation. It's so apropos. I don't do a women's pound for pound at CBS Sports. Apparently, we don't believe in suffrage. But ESPN,
I mean, who's gonna like? The only reason those things exist is to drive engagement and get clicks. And I'm sorry, you know, you ain't gonna get it with that.
Yeah, you're not going to get engaged to any of those ladies. The updated pound for pound women's list, just for those that wonder, according to ESPN.com, where Mike Coppinger just exited, has the GWOAT Claressa #1, Katie Taylor 2, Serrano 3, Chantel Cameron, the former undisputed welterweight champion 4, Jonas 5, Gabriela Fundora 6, Mikaela Mayer 7, and then Savannah Marshall, Baumgardner, and Yokasta Valle, who won a decision over Marlene I don't make weight anymore Esparza over the weekend. Thank you, Zoe. Thank you so much. Yeah, so dude, Mikaela Mayer is now 34, and I think there's a window here, even though she takes big damage and delivers big damage in her fights, and it's exciting as heck. I think there's a window where we want to see her rematch Baumgardner, or at least I want to. I'd love to see her fight Serrano or Taylor. You're just saying that you're starting to believe she's sort of skill-wise close or of that ilk, and obviously you added in the asterisk that Katie Taylor's getting up there in age. I mean, they all are. Serrano's 36. Is there a window here where Mayer, who's had a few tough luck defeats in her career, mostly Baumgardner and Jonas, could end up fighting and maybe getting wins over them?
Are you talking about Taylor and Serrano?
Yeah, I'm talking about the true elites.
Possibly.
Chantel Cameron, maybe.
I guess the question is, at what weight are they all willing to fight at? Because Mayer is getting is going up in weight. They those what? Where are they fighting? Like 126, 130?
No, so Katie Taylor is the undisputed champion at 40 and
Okay.
at 35 and 40. Serrano is the unified champion at 26, but she's won titles between 118 and 40.
And every time she fights Kate Taylor, she almost kills her. So
yes.
clearly she has the size to fight at 140. So the weight classes are weird. Still don't seem very unstable in women's boxing. Not the actual numbers, but just the fact that a lot of the best fighters seem to have like a 50-pound weight range in which they're willing to fight. If that's the case, I don't see why they wouldn't want to steer towards that eventually. Honestly, after watching this fight, and this is not something I didn't have this on my bingo card going in.
Oh my God.
I found myself
ready.
thinking, like, Michaela, girl, you got to get away from Grandpa Bob and go see Mr. Social Media, go see Mr. MVP. Jake will make a real star out of you, right? Because he'll bring that Valley Girl bullshit out of you. You'll become the nasty heel good women's fighter, Blonde Barbie, everybody just rooting for you to lose. Like he'll bring that out of you, and which is already how we feel, but you could really play more into that, I think. And whether it's that they choose that route or not, that's where the action is in women's boxing right now. So she'll be fighting on Netflix.
She's probably. Do you think they're gonna, for that July 11th historic all-female card that they're planning for Netflix with the trilogy of Taylor Serrano? You have to believe that she could get the call. That all the top women in the world could get the call for that, right?
I mean, look, I hope they can do that. I hope they pull together that the power of Netflix convinces various promoters to all get together and put something special on, because then actually it turns into something where, there actually is a case for this being historic and not just like a BS word that we're throwing on or tacking onto this so we can call it something. Like if they get some of the Eddie Hearn Matchroom fighters and they get Michaela Mayer, all of a sudden fighting on that card. Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm into that. I'm definitely into that. Sorry, they're calling for the rake, Rafe, and you got to give the people what they want and what Zoe wants. So
what does Zoe do with the rake?
We're breaking posters over here. I mean, I'm out of control right here. Could you? I got things to fix. I got info. Yeah, all right.
Is that to scratch her with, or does she?
Yeah,
she's not like cleaning the whiskers. She's not doing this thing.
No. We're just trying to give her a good scratch. Let's talk about. Oh, wait, do you have any? I don't know. I haven't seen Lauren Price fight a ton. Do you have any feels?
You're damn sure I haven't.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a very fair point. Maybe we'll end that conversation right there. All right. But hey, good women's fight. I'm glad they got the main event. They deserved it. They delivered. I want to talk to you about.
I forgot. There's one thing I didn't get to see if there was a post-fight interview with Sandy Ryan. I did listen to one with Bunsey, but did she give us the words we need to hear whenever a top lass or bloke comes over and falls just a little bit short on their championship night in the United States?
What was that? You
mate,
finish?
I'm gutted, mate. Gutted.
Yeah, I'm gutted. No, she didn't.
Everything felt good on the night. I had a great camp, mate.
Yes, she has no excuses. It just wasn't meant to be, that kind of stuff. That's what we got out of her.
Absolutely gutted.
Absolutely gutted. Zoe, you good back there? Thank you. All right. So I want to talk to you about that card. There were a few other prospect moments worth talking about as Top Rank. Nobody builds these prospects like them.
I wish I didn't have to watch it all, but yeah.
Oh my God. I was really excited about the result of that co-main as Brian Norman Jr. made the first defense of his WBO welterweight title. Remember, he had knocked out Giovanni Santillan impressively. He welcomed Derek Cuevas, 27-1-1 record. And now look, this was the shiny moment for Cuevas, his mountaintop moment, dream come true. He didn't look good. He didn't fight good. But part of that is what Norman did. And, we talked about it. I was a little slow on the Brian Norman Jr. train coming up. And I'm not going to sit here and say he beat an absolute world beater. I mean, none of the prospects on this Top Rank card who had breakthrough performances, and it was basically all of them, none of them beat world beaters. But considering welterweight's down at the moment, I gotta say, Norman's starting to put it together, dude. The punches, he's in incredible shape. He's built like a tank. Got his dad in his corner. It seems to be a healthy relationship, unlike some of these other father-son ones where they become a distraction as the mouthpiece. I'm starting to buy in on the idea that I still think Boots is better. I still think Stanionis would give Norman a tough fight, but each time out, he's impressing me more, and he's only 24, dude. I'm in. Count me in right now, April 1st on Brian Norman Jr.
I mean, he's exciting. He clearly has power. You could see that. And that, that like he throws that left hook with a lot of bad intentions. He can catch guys coming in with it. He also sets it up in combinations. I mean, it's a nice weapon for him. And there, it's hard. I also haven't, I've seen the fight where he won the title. I've seen this fight. He looks good in them. It's hard to extrapolate, hard for me at this point to sort of imagine with a whole lot of confidence how I think he would do, or if I would choose him to beat certainly Boots or a more proven top welterweight.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't roll my eyes at any of those matches at this right now. Like he's at a point where I'd say, yeah, I want to see how he looks against those guys. And I wouldn't be shocked if he's, it turns out that he's somewhere in the middle or near the top of that list. So yeah, he looks good, man.
Early feels from you, because Boots Ennis came on the scene on Showtime as this, freak phenom, not freak, but like, holy shit, he does Roy Jones things. He's incredible. And as we've waited for him to finally get a tough opponent in front of him, it feels like his progress has been stunted, and he had to fight that dude, Karin Chukadzian, twice. And the second time, he just didn't look like a killer. But, where's the motivation in this situation? What are your early thoughts on who might come out of that April 12th when Stanionis, Bob's former Lithuanian, welcomes Boots in the toughest fight of Boots' career, no question.
Stanionis was never one of Bob's Lithuanians, was he? I thought he was always one of Al's Lithuanians. Bob's Lithuanian. I thought Bob's Lithuanian was just Edgis Kasielauskis.
No, he had both. Machine. He had both, I thought, and then Stanionis left and went to PBC, and then he sat out for a long time.
I'll take your word for that. Anyway, Bob has Lithuanians. We have that. That is, there's no disputing that. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm not ready to give up on Boots Ennis. I think he showed us as boxing fans plenty on his rise through the ranks and in the early years of his career to believe in this talent and to think that, okay, I'll give him a pass for a couple of lackluster performances where he wins clearly, but doesn't look as spectacular as he had in the past, because they're just the kind of fights that are hard to get up for. He's saying that he's going to be looking to make a statement against Stanionis. He's saying that that against another championship level fighter, you're going to see Boots look like the Boots who we were all expecting to one day rise to the top or right near the top of pound for pound list. Like, so I'm not, especially, we only got to wait 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks now to find out. Let's just,
let's see it.
We'll see how he looks. And maybe it turns out that Stanionis is also nearly that good and gives us something to think about. But right now he's still the class of the division in my mind. And I still would, I would still expect him to, whenever he decides to move up to 154 pounds, be a major player in that exciting division too.
I have to agree with you on that. I'm not ready to count him out based on what we've seen. It's been tough. How could you consistently get up when you're waiting? I mean, Triple G could. He'd roll through. He'd knock out any fool they'd put in front of him. But yeah, let's look at the title holders just in case you're wondering. WBO at 147 is Norman. IBF is Ennis. Stanionis was elevated in the WBA. And of course, Mario Barrios in WBC. And Barrios.
We still talking about that guy?
What'd you say?
We're still talking about that guy, Mario Barrios?
Kind of.
Why?
I mean,
he still has a fake belt, right?
Yeah, he's looked better with Bob Santos reuniting, but I have to say
he was going life and death with
Abel Ramos. Yeah, that's the problem. We haven't seen him since that Tyson Paul undercard, and that was not a good. It was a great fight in terms of action, but not a great performance ultimately. All right, so that's Norman. Further down on the card, Shu Shu Carrington from Shu York City, your backdrop. Well, you're not from Brooklyn, but your area, so to speak. He fought a guy he should have knocked out in Enrique Vivas, 23-3 coming in, but he did it. And he did it in 3 rounds, and he did it brutally with those quick combos, dude. Holy crap, he beat the shit out of this guy. And here's what I did not expect out of Shu Shu, who, if you're wondering, is now 15-0, 9 KOs, 27 years old. So he's not, 21, 22, but only 15 pro fights. And afterwards, he said, I want all the champions. I want Rafael Espinoza. I want Stephen Fulton Jr. And I want Nick Ball, that pocket rocket from the UK. A lot of debate of whether he's actually ready. I mean, even Fulton came out and was like, I'll put a hurting on that kid. What do you think about the balls on Shu Shu to say, no, the time is now. It's time to jump into that deep end?
I think the jury is still out on him. There are like obviously the power and the combinations he showed in getting Vivas out of there pretty quickly. I was fine. I kind of agree with Nando. I mean, you're telling me that, how great Shu Shu looks, but I all I'm hearing is Teddy Atlas screaming in my ear, being against who, and so far Shu against who has not been a very interesting equation.
I mean, who's the best guy he beat off the top of your head?
Name one better than Chris Algieri.
Yeah, no, he has not beaten anybody, but he's beaten Vivas, Dana Coolwell. So Suleiman Sagawa was a good win, but that was a majority decision where some people thought he didn't win it.
It became a good win because he had to work a lot harder, or he had a lot more trouble with it than was expected. I guess while it was impressive the way he got Vivas out of there, I worry about that kind of style where he's doing like he's on the back foot, loading up, looking for counters, but in the meantime letting his opponent sort of dictate where he goes in the ring, or not letting, but giving, I think, a fighter like Vivas too much say in sort of where the action in the ring is going to go, letting his opponent lead, and not necessarily, and Vivas was not very dangerous, but he landed some clean shots on there, like some of those overhands. I wouldn't, basically watching that, I was like, well, this is like, if the talent levels were a little bit different, this is sort of the recipe for AB getting a really rough night from the one and only El Chino Maidana back in the day. Like, all of a sudden you're trying to sit there on your back foot and pot shot, and you run up against a guy that power is not affecting in the same way, and he's unorthodox and has power on you. Anyway, there's a lot more to learn. Do I mind him calling out the champions in that division? Hell no. And I would love it if he makes, so what? Let him jump into the deep end. If he thinks he's ready and his promoters and managers agree enough, even if they don't quite agree, they would prefer to slow it down a little bit. If he forces the issue, or they come up with something that looks, say, like the best risk, the best risk to take, go take it. Why not? And I honestly, he's in the right division to do that. There are divisions where a fighter who has shown what Shu Shu has shown in the ring so far, I would be a lot more dubious of a plan to immediately jump in with the title list. It's just like, man, you don't want that. You don't want that stuff. Like,
Nando, he may have hesitated, but he did say the name ultimately of Rafael.
He probably just forgot who that guy was.
Probably, but I like that guy a lot.
The tall guy.
I agree with everything you're saying about the hesitancy.
I'm saying 126, man. The champs there, they ain't all that. Like, all right. Ball is waiting to cash out against Inoue. Yes. And Espinoza, I mean, he looks interesting, but is really right. It makes sense to hold out a little bit of skepticism on these surprising upset guys who come along and snatch a belt out of nowhere. Like your boy Banana, whatever his name is, did
Jason
that once
Rosario.
upon a time, and he's sucked ever since.
Wow. Is he a worse unified champ than Julius Ndongo?
Regis Pregarius just beat a dongo, man. And who's the other guy we was just talking about? Also, Stephen Fulton, I'm not quite I'm not sold on the comeback quite
Oh,
yet.
get the F out of
He
here.
looked
Did you
great
see what he
against a
did to
guy
Fig?
fighting like trash. I want to
Did
see
you
it
see
again.
what?
Show
Did you
me
see Fig's
again.
sister?
Show me again. What?
Did you see Fig's sister, the Mrs. Mario Barrios? Come on, man.
So what does that got to do with this?
It's got
Anyway,
everything to do with
look,
it.
Carrington's in a weak division, so yeah, call out some title lists.
All right. You have to admit, though, you have to admit it. He looked good putting it on Vivas. I mean, those combos were highlight, right?
Great finish. I mean, once he got him hurt, he jumped right in, and it was great. It was great. I don't.
Yeah.
know.
Okay, where are we going with this, Mike? Where are we? Okay, Mike, you're gone. You're banned. All right, thank you very much. Thank you for joining and playing right there. So yeah, I'm gonna follow him. I mean, do you like? You gotta like the New York swagger, don't you like that? I mean, that guy probably grew up buying those $1.50 slices from a couple blocks away from your place, you know?
I hope. Look, I maybe he grew up with the dollar slice. I mean, that was the era when all of a sudden the dollar slice joint showed up and just took over the game, and it was they sucked, but they were $1. How are you going to say no to a dollar?
You can't argue with that.
Meanwhile, you buying coffee for $10 next door, so it's
Yeah,
like, yeah, you
right.
might as
Who
well
does
get this
that?
slice.
I don't know if you watched the early undercard highlight reel finish from young Emiliano Vargas, of course, one of the 3 fighting sons of Fernando Vargas, who is his trainer. Giovanni Gonzalez was the second round victim, and now Emiliano improves to 13-0 with 11 KOs. Look, 20 years old is El General. Champ, you're going to need to continue to fight in more of these pies, but I have to say, I really like the 3 Vargas boys, and we don't know yet how good they are, and they're all a little bit different. They're definitely hotheads, or 2 of the 3 of them are big time hotheads in entertaining ways. But how experienced are you in watching the Vargas boys? Because every time they're on my TV, I'm entertained.
Well, I have not looked at as many Vargas boys as you have. Let's just put it
Beautiful
that way, Brian.
Yeah, wait.
Little buff boys, little buff boys. Anyway, shout out to I think you should leave fans. No, I've never watched these kids fight. I'm waiting for them to get onto one of the main card undercards before I get that deep into that box.
Okay. All right. Well, that was the Top Rank card. Let's head over to DAZN. I didn't actually watch.
Does Oscar have any sons?
Yes, he has.
But they don't fight?
No,
because that would be a good. I mean, could they Nico Ali Walsh him into a fight with one of the Vargas kids? That'd be mean to one of Oscar's boys if they're not fighters.
No. Gabriel does not fight, and
Gabriel is a good boy, Brian.
Yes. But his cousin Diego De La Hoya fights, but he never turned out to anything, you know.
You used to get hyped every time you'd see Diego and Joel in Vegas, man.
I mean, do you remember that time at the whiskey down at the MGM Grand that I was extra in talks, and I was willing to go over to Joel Sr. and accost him for not saying I love you? That's why we had to deal with the fishnets.
I do remember that. He took it well.
Yeah, he did. He did. I'm sure Oscar did too in those nets. There's no doubt about it. Let's go over to that DAZN card. I did not watch Yokasta Valle against Marlene. I'm sorry, but it got a little saucy in that weigh-in with those outfits. Wow. I will tell you, I did see Oscar Collazo, the unified strawweight champion.
Yeah,
he looked good, dude.
He's very good. Yeah,
5th round stoppage. I don't always watch those little guys, but when I do, I'm entertained. But of course, I want to talk to you about that main event, second time around for William Zepeda, the interim WBC 135 title holder. He's been the mandatory for Shakur forever, and he got Tevin Farmer a second time, and it was another very close decision. I think this time was majority. It may have been split the first time. All in all, I heard about this fight first. Sounded like Zepeda got exposed and wasn't all that, but I have to say, after watching it, I thought he looked really good. Dude, he landed more than twice as many punches as Farmer.
He almost tripled him up at some point, like going into like the 11th round. It was like he had landed 290. They showed the graphic. And look, by the way, disclaimer, I don't even believe that in these stats, right? This is just the opinion of some guy with a button.
Oh my God, you're gonna get Bobby C on the phone. We don't want to go down that road.
I'm not even in the media anymore, guys. I do love Bobby C though. He's such a class guy.
I love the whole family, but that's me.
I mean, Bobby C has made a great, he's a good man, raised a good family. They do a nice.
Damn right he did.
I'm very happy for all the success.
Even that bootleg fourth brother, who's a school teacher that no one ever talks about, he's a nice kid too.
I'm glad you know the entire family tree.
Let me tell you this.
Yeah,
though.
go ahead.
Let me finish.
Give me some Zepeda.
Zepeda threw 974 punches over 12 rounds. He was an absolute typhoon. He landed 43% of his power shots, doubling the power shot total of Farmer. In total jabs, he outlanded him 101-41. And he visibly hurt Farmer in rounds 2 and 5. Now, I know there was a knockdown that could have been / should have been called.
Should not have been. You think, okay, should that have been a knockdown?
I mean, it's borderline.
It's like a push. It was a cuff. The punch didn't land. He caught him on the back of his head, and like the follow through just pushed him to the ground. That's not a I just don't see that as a punch.
Basically, what I'm trying to say is I don't think the fight was close. So
nor do I. I don't know why. Who had the draw scorecard?
What were the scores on that?
There was one. It was like it was like probably like an 8-4, a 9-3, and a draw.
116, 112, 115, 113 for Zepeda. 114, 114 is the third scorecard. The guy on the screen says, Nader says, fight wasn't close. Zepeda worked Farmer.
Agree.
He worked him and outworked him. And even though I obviously credit Farmer's toughness, his guile, and afterwards he would admit on Twitter that he's been suffering from Tourette's his whole career, and any bad physical responses people saw are not CTE or whatever. But look, I respect the shit out of Farmer, but the internet told me that Zepeda was overhyped. And if the litmus test is whether he would knock Farmer out or not, dude, he hurt him a couple times. He looked like a killer. Now, Shakur's still going to dance circles around him, but I want to put some respect on William Zepeda's name.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this was, he did not get like the full-on redemption that he probably was looking for after their first fight. But Zepeda I thought it was a clear win. I don't really understand where the draw scorecard came from. I honestly think that 7-5 feels close for that fight. He was there was a couple, so what, in maybe the 7th round, he gets a little buzz, and in 12th, he's hurt for periods. But like this, for someone like Zepeda, who is going to be that active, open up so much over 12 rounds, he's going to get hit. He's going to get countered. And Tevin Farmer is a very, very good counterpuncher. Landed incredibly beautiful little uppercuts. I mean, he landed some very pretty shots, but even when they were shots that, affected Zepeda momentarily, it would be hard to give Tevin Farmer a round for just a couple of those, because the entire rest of the round, he's on defense and it's not, look, you're throwing 900 punches. Not all of them are going to be the cleanest, but he did just the amount of accumulated damage, the moments when Farmer was struggling to hold on. And it just, I thought that Zepeda, do I think that maybe, well, I think that he was overhyped heading into the Farmer fight when everyone was like, this guy is a killer. He is a Michaela Marissa Mayer level beast in the ring. He's, just that he is, his activity and the way he breaks opponents down is something that for a moment, a handful of people at least, were giving credence to the idea that he would give Shakur Stevenson trouble. After watching these fights, I disagree with that, but I also think that it's unfair to say that, you didn't break down and stop a guy like Tevin Farmer, who is so experienced and has not had anything given to him in the sport of boxing, that you're not going to look good against him if or he's going to get his pound of flesh in almost any fight, especially a guy like Zepeda, who is clearly willing to take a few shots. It's not like Zepeda's bread and butter is like, hit and don't get hit. He's not out here practicing the sweet science, He's out here to get in that ass, and he's willing to take a few to get in that ass. And that he executed that fight plan pretty well, successfully, I think, against a good opponent, guy who is, I think, almost habitually underrated throughout his career in Tevin Farmer, because he's never had he's never had big time promotional backing, right? But shout out to Lou DiBella, who I don't know if he's still promoting Farmer, but when he sort of helped, they helped guide him through those years when he won the championship in Japan, and wasn't there one he lost, but it was turned to a no contest because of some drugs. Like, he's been through it all, man. Tevin Farmer deserves a lot of respect. He always fights well, competes his ass off, fought through injuries in this fight, and looked good at times, but he didn't win this one.
And he can watch his opponent and the crowd at the same time, to be very disrespectful to you. A couple comments from the fans. So Ham Sandwich is not feeling where we're at with this. He thinks Zepeda got exposed. He thought there were moments Farmer had that made him look bad. Look, Farmer's kind of world class, right? Kind of, so you got to put that respect. And I don't think Zepeda's a world beater, but I do think he's fun. And I do think this was a repair of what went wrong in the first fight.
Yeah, he like Zepeda did not look like he's going to give Shakur Stevenson trouble. He looked like he was overrated up to the point in his career when he met Tevin Farmer the first time. And he did have moments where Farmer made him look bad, but Farmer is one of the better counterpunchers in the division, maybe over the past several years of the sport. I mean, that's his bread and butter, right? I mean, he makes you miss. He's got good upper body movement, and he can come back and he can turn his hips back into those uppercuts, and he's caught a lot of fight. So that is, it was almost sort of tailor-made for Farmer to have those moments. He still didn't have enough of them to win the fight. So I think we can, I think we're all saying the same thing, just emphasizing different parts here. Where Zepeda, he's not the future of this division, or he doesn't look like it right now. It looks like there's probably a ceiling to where this style is going to take him, but he's going to be a fun fighter. I don't remember a lot of people. I mean, certainly, well, there were some, but we weren't tripping over ourselves to say, man, Brandon Rios is too much of a brawler to really ever crack the top 10 pound for pound. Well, no shit. I still had fun watching him.
He still was quasi-elite and on the title level, and should have fought Gambo that time, and he would have got beaten down by Balco Gambo. Oh my God, that would have been Floyd Corrales all over again. Nando saying he doesn't want to see Zepeda versus Shakur because it would be a track meet. He'd rather see it versus the other champions at 35. I think Oscar. Do you think Oscar's still sucking off the nipple of Turkey, or do you think Oscar would be willing to send fighters to PBC or Top Rank land right now?
I have no clue what the I mean, if Turkey is requiring Golden Boy fighters to to not work with those other promotional companies, then maybe not. But Turkey, I mean, it seems like I don't even know how much strategy Turkey goes into this with, right? I mean, he's like, I want to have a big event in Riyadh 2 months, or I want to do a big event on top of the pyramids. Who are some fighters? And then he just calls all the promoters, like, how much money is it going to take to get this guy to fight that guy? And they were like, that guy hasn't fought in 10 years, and that guy is dead. All right, well, you pick 2 good fighters, and we're just going to put them in there and call it the crescendo of asses ever.
Well, normally they're like, sir, he has a fight in 2 months against a really difficult guy. No problem. He'll just fight both, and then they never do. Now, I'm Team Shakur until I find out that he's not the real, but I get that you can hate on him. El Unico Cocho is like, yo, I don't think Shakur has anything to keep Zepeda off of him. I disagree with that. I do.
Again, this is sort of why I would like to see it, because for all of the talent and promise, and to some extent promise fulfilled that we've seen in Shakur Stevenson's career, I still haven't. What's the good win for him there? It's still what
I beat Joette, and I took his sister. You know what I'm saying?
Oscar Garcia. I mean,
Oscar
that's it.
Valdez.
I'm getting old, man. My shit is fucked.
Yeah, you and Trump are like, they all look alike, so we'll just call him. Stop that.
But I mean, honestly, he doesn't have really great wins yet, and I hope he somehow gets the opportunity to determine that. And yeah, we've seen fighters who bring some pressure, but I agree that it would be interesting at least to see how Stevenson deals with the sort of crazy amount of pressure that Zepeda will want to bring. I don't know that I believe that he has nothing to keep him off of him, because also the one thing I learned about Stevenson in the Valdez fight, thinking back on that one, is how mean and dirty he also is when he decides to be.
Yep.
Right.
Remember when he
pushing,
swung on that chick in the parking garage?
well,
Come
yeah,
on, man.
he's really mean and dirty in those situations. But again, even against Oscar Valdez in a major title fight, he's just the push. He pushing, holding, a little bit of elbow action. Was holding was sort of measuring with the jab there and stiff arming him and got away with it all. And I think that we could see some of that nastiness that he has when a guy comes and puts that pressure on him, like I think Zepeda would try to do. That would make in that regard, it makes me more excited to see Stevenson fight him, because even though I think that ultimately Stevenson has enough to win that fight pretty comfortably. I want to see how he does it. And I want to see how good he can look doing it, and see if we can see a side of him that we haven't really gotten to see before. Also, if he got problems with his hands, he's going to have to hit that guy a lot to keep him honest. And maybe he gets a hand injury, and maybe, it's by the theater of the unexpected, as the great Larry Merchant once said. That's why they have the fights. I also do kind of like the comment from was it Nando who was saying that he would rather see Zepeda fight Loma or Keyshawn or Tank. Those are fun fights, and less likely to, there is a version anytime that Shakur Stevenson steps in the ring that he's just going to stink it out and get a decision that way.
All right, a lot of Shakur hating here from Nader, from Nando.
Lay it on.
I get it. I can't defend some of the recent things, although I think the De Los Santos fight had more to do with it being his last fight with Top Rank, but I'm not going to, absolve him of that necessarily. Also, I like that you were like nasty boys. They don't mean a thing. Dude. Here's what they would be saying though to Shakur after round 1 against Zepeda.
He can't handle your speed, son.
I saw that fun comment earlier. Now I can't find it, about the marination station and the idea of Gambo Wanma finally consummating. Right now, I know you don't follow the skinheads, but there's a new league that's clearly a money laundering operation called the GFL that's doing very shitty team style MMA. But the one thing they're doing for the first card is taking a lot of recently retired names and just matching them against each other in like trilogies or rematches. If there was like a Triller Trigon old man boxing card, and right now they look back, they say, which fight should have happened that didn't? And now that these guys are so down on their luck and so CTE'd, we can do it now. If you found out they were doing Gambo Wanma and the referee did have gambling problems, would you watch? All right.
Of course, you've been on this for at least a decade, BC.
Yes.
The Washed Contender Series. Get it started. I don't understand. This is clearly a great idea. It would be so much fun until somebody dies, and then we'd all have to pretend like it wasn't our idea in the first place.
But
no. Until then, it's going to be so much fun. I bring them all back, and yes, I think that you would eventually want to build towards the ultimate, washed fight that we missed, which sounds like might happen anyway if Deontay Wilder beats whatever Herndon man whenever that fight happens. But AJ versus Wilder, we missed out on it when it mattered. Let's get it now. Let's get it on.
Final point on Zepeda from Old Ham Sandwich himself. Would you be down with Zepeda versus Pitbull Cruz? Because I think Cruz has to go back to 35.
Hell yes. Yeah. You talk about, that's the guy I think is overrated, Pitbull.
All right. Oh, yeah. All right. And as Michael Beal said, you got to die somehow. So might as well be at GFL boxing. Wow. What a morbid thought. We didn't miss any box over the weekend. That was it. Just the 2 cards, right?
I'm sure there was some more, but that's plenty. It was hard to get through all that at times.
You're right. All right, let's talk about Grandpa. So he was interviewed at the Fontainebleau by many people. Did you see him get angry, by the way? He did a couple ringside interviews afterwards, and then that guy from Britain was like, I felt Tevin, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, Jesus, no, enough. What did he say to that woman that time?
She started asking him about, I think it probably had to do with Kubrat Pulev's Me Too incident, getting the sushi off of the reporter and reporting. And he's like, hey, enough.
So Grandpa told some people that it does feel like Top Rank and PBC will be working together moving forward when it makes sense. Now, look, there is a potential ultimate dream scenario, in my opinion, because we don't know where Top Rank's new TV deal will be. There's been rumors. I've heard rumors that it'll be simulcast on DAZN and then a American cable company. What that cable company is, or what, like, we don't know yet. Nobody knows yet. You hear a lot of rumors. I've heard some people say Prime, though. So imagine if there was a scenario where
Amazon
they're both
Prime or BLK Prime.
Yeah, great question. Imagine if there's a True TV all over again. Imagine if there's a scenario where they are on the same channel. Well,
Can
that's
they be on Wealth TV or the AWE network? I used to love that, man.
I know this game. So my thing is this. Look, I wrote a story last week interviewing Nikisa Badarian of MVP Promotions, Jake Paul's promotions, about the rumors I had been hearing that they are raising a shit ton of money and are willing to partner with the non-TKO Turkey people and sort of be the resistance. And that gets me fired up in a lot of ways. If though, forget that for a second and forget even the idea of Top Rank and PBC on the same network. Let's just say they are more aggressively willing to mix talent on pay-per-views. And they asked Bob straight up, they said, Bob, is this the result of Turkey aligning with TKO? And he was like, absolutely. So that's got to be music to the ears of the boxing fan. And on Morning Combat yesterday, Luke Thomas and I ranked which 5 matchups each we'd both be fired up to see. And obviously for me, it's like Gervonta versus Keyshawn, Better Biev versus Bivol, on and on and on down the line. It's not as if though Bob
Not
and
Bivol.
Al, what?
Not Bivol.
Benavidez.
Benavidez,
Yeah, good call. My bad. It's not as if they're friends. They have worked together when the money made sense before. Are you confident that this is going to be the future, that while we wait for the evil empire to begin their assault, that the old guard are going to be smarter? Because I think we could see a 2013 all over again when HBO and Showtime were going head to head, and every week our balls were on fire.
I don't know what you were doing with your life in that period. I hope you did get it checked out. I hope that you got some penicillin to cool down those balls along with water.
Eric.
Yeah. Dame los huevos, Brian. But yeah. Well, listen. Did you read these comments from, or did you actually listen to that quick interview with Bob?
I listened to it. Do you have more? Do you have more?
Well, no. I listened to it, and that's why I'm afraid we might be overreacting to this a little bit.
Okay.
Because it sounded like just he was bullshitting at ringside. Like they're like, it's just sort of like standard, like, hey Bob, would you ever consider doing more fights with PBC? And he's like, yeah, sure. I don't know.
Then did you not see that specific interview? I think it was at the airport. Maybe
I heard. Well, I don't know where. Maybe I listened to it. It sounded like it was in passing. It did not sound like a very Bob did not sound like he was thinking through these answers. I also when Bob speaks, not only when he was at the height of his faculties, he would say whatever he wanted at any given time based on whatever factors fit into that decision. Now at this point, his tone and how brief the answers were made it sound to me like he was just kind of trying to get rid of the interviewer. Like he's just like, yeah, I don't know. Sure, we'll do some fights. Is that because of the situation with Turkey? And he's like, yeah, it is. It's like, it sounded basically like he's saying, yeah, anything's possible. And I agree, anything is possible. But how, like, are they doing anything to make that happen? There's no, that is when I would, that's when I would start to believe in this anymore, when it seems like there's some wheels in motion. Now, I guess we could say that the pressure of this situation, where it does seem like the obvious response to the what we think might be the potential takeover of the sport from the Turkey TKO crowd is something that it makes sense for the existing big time promoters to get together and whatever, like come up with some great fights to say, hey, look, we're still here. And if that happens, great. But this interview did not necessarily, oh shoot, crossovers. It could happen. I'd be happy if it happens, but I don't really, it didn't give me the feeling that like, oh, there's really something to this.
Okay. Well, and shout out to Nando referencing Kevin Garnett, because anything was possible in 2008 when Kobe swallowed in that NBA
He
Finals
bottled
series.
it, man. Well, you know.
RIP. And once a man does that, he's never the same. Although Kobe would win back-to-back championships in the next 2 years before the helicopter incident. True fact. RIP. RIP though. RIP. Unnecessary. I know. I'm a Celtics fan. Thank you. But I took optimism from it. I get what you're saying. Boxing is full of shit. I used to love the sport. I realize already that it kind of feels inevitable that people will start partnering together. And I do think we are going to see a continued uptick, meaning the last year we saw an uptick in the sport because of the Saudi money. And I think over the next year, the people that still own American boxing, which really is largely PBC and Top Rank, I do think they're going to dig their heels in and really try to make big things happen. But I heard a couple other things. One, there was that Twitter rumor. I don't know if it's real, but the Twitter rumor that Stephen Fulton would move up to 130 and challenge O'Shaquie Foster, a Top Rank fighter, and that it might be on the Tank pay-per-view rematch undercard in June. Okay, interesting fight, not the end of the world. I also saw a quote from Bob saying he encourages Gervonta Davis to stay in the sport and get rededicated. To me, and you know I'm an optimist in this game, that's telling me the Davis versus Davis pay-per-view could happen in the next year. And wouldn't you be fired up if Keyshawn and Gervonta touched each other's tips? Damn. So dude, I do think this is the way, Mandalorian. I do think this is the way we're going. Now, it may not be as aggressive as my optimism is saying. Are we going to see a PBC versus Top Rank, Riyadh season style head-to-head card? No. But would they be more willing to unofficially trade? Meaning, I'll give you this guy. Like, hey, PBC.
Isn't that what didn't Vince McMahon get in trouble for doing that with some of his female employees? Like
defecating in the hair.
Just a little trade. Like, hey, Brock, I'll trade this one for you.
Oh yeah. No, that was just straight sex. Oh yeah, sex trade. Yeah. Shout out to Nigel. What I'm really saying here is that let's say give me a scenario where I'll give you a scenario. Let's say Top Rank goes, hey PBC. Xander Zayas is the mandatory for Fundora. So no problem. You can have that, put it on your show. But let's look at another division where you send me a PBC guy that matches well. Like, for example, we'll give you Pitbull Cruz to fight Keyshawn on a Top Rank pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying? Like, could that be a future possibility? I think that for survival, it has to be, dude. It has to be.
I think that's a good point. I like those fights. Look, I feel bad doing this. I'm too on brand right now, Brian. This is like next level for me, but I still feel like I need to pour a little bit of water on your balls, rain on this parade a little bit.
Because of the Kobe comments. Yeah, I know.
No. It's not just that. But so, and I did listen to that segment on Morning Combat yesterday.
Were you grossed out at all by Luke's top five?
Well, so my impression of both of your top fives was like, yo, is that it? Is that what we're getting? Because like those top fives were like pretty much like a high mid-level Riyadh season card in terms of star power. And
you wouldn't be moved with Teofimo against Gary Antoine in a unification? Come on.
I would look, as a boxing fan, I would absolutely be very moved by that. That's an awesome fight. But it's also a fight that I like. If those are the fights that they think that they're planning to take back the sport with, like, it ain't happening. Like, basically what I mean is I think that PBC and Top Rank let go of the rope a little too long, or I'm afraid that they may have, and they don't have the stars even between the two of them to make more than maybe 3 giant mega fights at the moment to make that statement that, yeah, no, boxing still lives here with us. We're the OGs and we do it better than anyone else. Like the would-be stars got away. Not other than Tank, other than Benavidez, but like
they still have a new way. They still have Fury. I'm not saying PBC has people to match up with.
Fury is borderline retired, and I guarantee you he fights with Turkey and Daniel more than he does. He's allowed in the United States. So yeah, I guess look, and also Inoue, I guess he is signed, he is inked up with Top Rank a little bit, but like it seems like his the way he's moving is towards Turkey.
You better
right?
call Mr. Honda.
Yeah,
You
we're
better
gonna call Mr. Honda. Better call Piston Honda. But anyway, I guess the fights that those top fives were good. They're exciting for boxing fans, but they're not. I don't think that's like like a state. There were not, other than Tank and anyone, but still the problem with it is it's not as great as Tank and Keyshawn would be. And I think I like that better than the fight that people want to see. It's still not the fight that people want to see, which was Tank and Stevenson, or even Tank and Ryan Garcia again. Like those stars are off the yard now. They work for other people for now. I'm just saying I was kind of surprised at listening to those mythical matchups and thinking these are all great fights. And none of them are really going to move the needle as much as a couple of good Riyadh season fights will. And that's that. I'm not rooting for Riyadh, but I like some of the cupboard seems a little empty on star power these days.
All right. Well, the unanswered question is this, and it's been the same discussion ever since this TKO thing was teased and announced. Like, what's the turning point for the TKO takeover? Will, for example, Oscar or Frank or Eddie sell or align themselves with the TKO takeover and say, you know what, it's inevitable, take our fighters, either give me a job or pay me off or whatever, because obviously Saudi's got this war chest that no one can compete with. If they use that to buy stables, the balance will shift quickly. But what if Turkey and TKO stay in this overconfident mindset of we'll just recreate the sport from the ground up and we'll turn whoever we want to into the next stars?
That's bullshit.
It's going to force the old guard to team up. So it might be more than Top Rank and PBC. But do I have confidence that all of these swinging corporate raiders will, put their ego aside for the betterment of the sport? No, I don't have that confidence.
I'm not quite so sure either. Anyway, look, I hope that whether it's a plan that they have gotten together and hatched out and written down somewhere, or if it's just the pressures of the market push them to make some of these fights, I think that's great. I think it's likely that we do see some of them. I also as while I piss all over the grand plan for Top Rank and PBC to join forces and do some weird, Pacific Rim versus the Kaiju, whatever the hell that movie was about. I also don't think that the TKO plan is very legit either, right? I mean, just what we've seen, what we know so far is that they actually have a plan to create a siloed small boxing league of mid-level fighters, and hopefully that creates some good matchups and some good weeknight television or streaming stuff for fans of the sport. But there is nothing in there other than the fact that that it comes from Turkey and he's splashing money all over the place to believe that it's actually going to lead where we're imagining it could lead. And the simplest possible explanation way of looking at where TKO boxing, whatever will lead, is that it will lead to a small weeknight boxing circuit where we see a bunch of good Tuesday night fights.
Yeah, I hear you on that. It's still undetermined what that will be. I still think there's a possibility, and shout out to community service brand, building a platform. DAZN has a platform. I still think that there is potential if that Canelo Crawford fight is a massive home run on Netflix that maybe TKO speeds up their plan, but it remains to be seen. One final note. I interviewed Nikisa. I put out that feature, but it didn't necessarily answer all the questions of where MVP falls into this. It does.
She didn't tell you everything, man. What's going on with her? Why? I thought that she would answer all the questions.
Who's she? I was talking to Nikisa. Who's she?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know who Nikisa
is. He used to be the UFC's CFO, and now he's the he owns MVP with Jake Paul.
Okay. Yeah, I'd seen the name. I thought it was a woman.
Wow, that woman, Judge. Please.
I mean, especially because it's Jake's brand. Like, he's empowering women executives in the sport.
I thought it was
a woman's name.
Is there a scenario here? One thing they confirmed is they are raising a lot of money. They also confirmed that they're willing to work with PBC where it makes sense. What if this is the scenario? Because I had heard rumors that the timing of the TKO announcement was a direct counter move to the rumors that Jake is raising money and talking with Netflix, right? We know that Jake's going to put the female card July 11th. And obviously TKO wants to go on Netflix for Canelo Crawford. It seems as of right now, from what we've heard, that Netflix only wants to do massive crossover events, which could produce the idea that they're the
massive,
new
bro. These events would be massive, fam.
Yeah.
Just massive madness.
It may be that produces a situation where they become the new HBO. But what if Jake and Nikisa sign some form of a Netflix deal where they do become the anti-TKO and the new HBO? Could you see a scenario? Now, they're not going to be paying turkey money, but a scenario where Bob, Al, and the remaining non-TKOs are willing to give their money or their fighters to that platform.
Just the money. Keep the fighter. Take the money.
And we could actually see like a 1999 version of HBO all over again on Netflix. Is that a realistic scenario or no?
I don't know if it's Netflix necessarily. It would be obviously good for the sport, and that would be a big sweetener if they could pull that off. And it seems possible. Jake Paul already, has staged one extremely successful live event on Netflix. Whatever it was, it happened. And Netflix was happy with the publicity and the views and the opportunity to, test the bugs in their streaming, I guess, on an event that, we all wish we didn't see in the first place. Yeah. But so he has that good relationship with them, I'm sure. And I think it's possible. I don't know if it ends up on Netflix or somewhere else, but it makes sense, especially if Jake Paul, because of his ability to convince investors, to pour in money, to sort of trust him with their venture money or wherever the fake crazy money is coming from, whoever's funny money it is, crypto money, right? If his force of personality, his ability to get attention, his promotional flair, if you want to be generous, all those things can have people willing to give their money to him like they once were willing to give money to Al Heyman and PBC.
Shout out to Waddell and Reed, baby.
Yeah, shout out to Showtime. If that happens with Jake Paul, then it does make sense that the other promoters could start working there too. And if that leads to those fights, that's great. I think it will be very funny and sort of perfectly, 2025 or 2030, whatever, the cursed era in which we live, because there is a realistic scenario in which boxing is saved by Jake Paul. And we're all like, look, I don't like the guy, but he kind of saved our sport.
What if he's the American turkey, the hero we need? And what if we get a WCW versus WWF type Monday Night Wars or Saturday Night Wars? And this is the future. I just want to get paid for broadcasting and I want to see great fights in that order. Is that selfish of me? Maybe.
No, I think it's okay.
All right. Real quick, the Coppinger news. Does this tell you that ESPN is getting out of combat sports? The UFC deal is coming up. All signs seem to point to that UFC will not get renewed. And although I thought ESPN dumping Top Rank would lead to them becoming the home for TKO boxing, obviously that's still undetermined. A lot of people are thinking due to ESPN getting rid of the MLB contract in a controversial way, and then the rumors that they're going to buy NFL media and own the Red Zone channel. Do you think our old employer is essentially just focusing on the sports that they know produce big, NFL, NBA, etc., and are going to be out of combat, which is kind of where they used to be back when we used to work there, right? Once we left.
Hey, shout out to that incredible, Chris Areola, Bermain Stavern Friday Night Fight Championship.
What
event.
a night. What a night. Do you have any comments or opinion on that or no?
I think it seems likely that okay. Coppinger moving. I mean, congratulations. Have fun at your new job. It does seem, if ESPN is not going to renew with Top Rank, boxing could leave, UFC could leave, something will end up there in the combat space. It probably will not be as good as either of those two things, but it will just, there's, why there will be something with cheap rights that somebody decides to take a flyer on.
Okay.
I don't know if it's something I want to watch, but I also don't care. It's not like, look, I don't consume a whole lot of ESPN for my combat sports, not like I'm reading anything there. When I'm watching it, I'm usually not watching it on ESPN either. I'm watching it on ESPN Plus, a platform that I love. No, and like you bet your ass.com as soon as they as they try and flip the switch on this ESPN flagship all over the top thing and start trying to extort people like $30 a month for that bullshit. My ass is out, man. I don't want no parts of that. I do not have that much money for mostly bad streaming sports. So yeah, Power Slap makes sense.
No, they got kicked off of TBS and Rumble. Now they're just on YouTube, which is where this show airs. So there you go. Okay.
In any case, it doesn't, I guess, there will still be someone writing about combat sports at ESPN. I hope our friend Andreas Hale, gets more opportunities. I mean, he's already doing great over there. I don't know if he's in good standing with the MMA crowd. I don't know his work there, but he's an excellent boxing writer, been a good guy over the years. I was excited when he got hired at ESPN, and he's done some good work over there. Seems like he's focusing more on features, and I hope if that's what he wants to do, he gets to do that. If it just doesn't, ESPN does look like it's getting out of combat, and it also seems like if I were betting the TKO, whatever else exists under TKO, I think that they would like to get it under one roof. So that does suggest Netflix is their goal. Now they need other offers to pump up the price and everything. But my guess, and if we saw, like, if we're considering, super agent turned executive Nick Khan as the sort of one of the strategic masterminds behind this, that's straight out of his playbook. Like, get a bunch of different products and talents under one roof, and then as long as there's a couple in absolutely indispensable things, as long as you still need this, as long as you still need these famous people and this huge product on your platform, well, shit, you better pony up for this crappy ass boxing we're selling you, because we'll take the whole house somewhere else if you don't do that. It's smart, sort of well integrated negotiating strategy. I think that's what they'll try and do. But who knows if they can pull it off. Netflix also is playing on such a big scale here that they can just walk. Like, there has to be some point in which they say, yo, this is too much trouble. I don't care. Like, we're doing just fine. Like, this looks like an attractive product. I think we would gain some steady subscribers off of it, because it's not a huge audience. The combat, let's say the entire combat space, it's not an enormous audience, but it's global, which Netflix likes, and it's loyal as fuck. Like, no sports fans get jerked around as much as I think boxing and MMA fans do.
Yes.
And so the ones who who have hung on this long will go anywhere it takes, which is why unfortunately why they also get abused so much by promoters.
By TKO.
Promoters, whatever they're called.
All right. Well, we got a transition here. I want to shout out Nando for the support of this podcast. Thank you so much. More liquid crack coming for Ray. If you better believe that.
Another $5 more, and we're going to revise every terrible thing we ever said about Canelo.
Thank you very much. Also, I wanted to shout out, I forgot to say it, I thought Corey Erdman was awesome on that Zepeda card as the play-by-play guy.
I think the cigar lady was more to my liking.
I thought he got talked over a lot by the cigar lady. Shout out to Sergio Mora, who I love, but I saw that I think it was Abramowitz had a really nice tweet about Corey Erdman. I really think he's class in this game, and I enjoyed working with him in that one card. And he's an old school nerd like us in the boxing journalism game. So shout out to Erdman. Also, top ranks announcer Mark Chinook just got hired by WWE SmackDown. And now Jimmy Lennon, the classy one, Jimmy Lennon Jr. is doing Top Rank. And I thought
I heard his voice on that reading the scorecards. I was like, is that Jimmy Lennon? He's not supposed to be.
Dude, I got to tell you, I got close to Jimmy Lennon at Showtime. Oh my God, is he classy and the nicest man on earth? I love Jimmy Lennon Jr. I got to say that out loud.
What I have to say is, I don't know if you've ever watched the extremely violent action series Banshee on what used to be HBO, but Jimmy Lennon looks exactly like the Amish villain in that show.
Really?
Yeah,
All right.
you can take that to the bank.
Yeah, the blood bank. And thank you so much, Nando. Thank you, brother.
All right, it's a deal. It's a deal.
All right, let's hit Do You Care time. Are you ready for this? Because we got a big weekend coming. It's time. All right, it's time for it. This is the weekend preview. This is an experiment to find out whether Rafe will take the time and accept the malware to watch this. Tuesday night, April 1st, Triller TV Plus presents Country Box. By the way, did you know the announce team for Country Box in Nashville?
Why are you not on this, BC?
I know. They do live boxing mixed with a live country concert. The announcer is Mark Abrams, our boy from Philadelphia, and Albert Hainsworth of the NFL. Do you remember that guy? Holy shit, that's a weird team, but they know this game. You got to listen to
Is the cigar lady going to be there? Because if so, I'm out, man.
I hope.
I can't deal with that shit anymore.
Main event, Craig Parker versus
Philip.
She's
watching Rosie Perez on the mic, man. Like, so
I have to maintain relationships in this industry. Thank you, sir. Craig Parker versus Philip Penson, 10 rounds cruiserweights. I know you don't care about that, but you know who's back on this undercard? Former heavyweight champion
McCall.
Oliver McCall.
He is? I thought he was. I was reading Bad Left Hook, and they weren't sure if he was They said he's on the poster, but not the card.
Okay, well, he's on the Fight Freaks Unite, Dan Raphael schedule.
Amen.
He'll be taking on James Tanksley in a 6-round heavyweight bout. Dude, how washed is he and his opponent combined? Wow. All right, let's go to Friday night, London, DAZN. It might be Friday afternoon for all I know.
Madness already, fam.
Main event, Daniel Dos Santos will defend his European light heavyweight title against Shakur Pitters. I know you don't care about that, but in the co-main event, where have you been? Huey Fury, cousin of Tyson, versus TBA, 8 rounds heavyweights. Are you in?
Yeah, I'm always in on a Huey. Huey Fury's had so many comebacks, and he sort of looks okay. I doubt he'll look okay now. It's been a long time. But he usually looks sort of okay, but he's such an inactive fighter that he can only win a scorecard on a majority decision with, where you're not even sure if anyone won. Was it a draw? Then he loses half of those fights too. But yeah, he was fine. I mean, he had a little bit of pop in that backhand. But who's in the corner? Is it Peter still, or will it be someone else?
Peter. So if you're wondering what happened to Huey Fury, he's 30 years old now, 29-3 record.
He's just 30. That's crazy.
Yeah, he took off 3 years between 2021 and 2024. Last year in his comeback year, he went 3-0 against some Joe Bears. He's going to fight 9-4 Dan Garber, so it won't be TBA after all, but he's beaten people like Christian Hammer, Mariusz Vach, Sam Peter.
Back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day. Lost to Povetkin, lost to Pulev, lost to Joe Parker by majority decision for the title. I'd like to see him against Andy Ruiz at this point. You down with that?
It's a name. Why not? Look, if he is halfway credible shape and sharpness, yeah, well, stop wasting time with the Joberts and throw him into the mix, right? I mean, let him fight let him fight Big Bang. I don't care.
Man, dude, nobody has the weirdest low-level cards than DAZN. Friday, DAZN in Houston. This might be a Red Owl boxing card. This is main event.
What is Red Owl boxing?
Oh, it's kind of like a showbox type of deal. They have their own arena, the Red Owl Arena, and yeah.
Why do they have their own arena?
I don't know. Raul Marcus's son has fought on there a few times, Gio. So the main event is Jaffatelli Lamido versus Carlos Jackson, 8 rounds bantamweights. You don't want that. Come on.
No, I don't even.
All right.
Talk about it.
Sunday in Australia, Saturday night, primetime, Newcastle, Australia, and live and direct on Prime Video. The PBC and No Limit Boxing will present Tim Tszyu's comeback bout. Remember, he lost to Fundora and then was stopped by Murtazaliev last year. He is going to take on former PBC prospect Joey Spencer. 10 rounds, junior middleweights. Spencer's lone defeat was a stoppage loss to Jesus Ramos Jr. But, Rafe, I don't know if you saw the Twitter on this. Spencer's claiming he won't show up to the fight unless something happens. There's like a divide right now. Let's just say the fight happens while I look this up. Do you care about Tim Tszyu's comeback here?
I mean, I care I'm curious. I think it will be fun. Look, I love Aussie boxing, man. Those cards are always fun. The crowds are insane. It's like it truly, it's still, even though it's, it's a continent, the world is all connected now. They still have that energy. Like the only thing that matters is what goes on here. Like these Isaac Hardmen are the only fighters in the world, and every once in a while, someone comes in from abroad to challenge them. And
what's the broad's name?
Whatever. I'm not sure what Joey Spencer's mom's name is.
All right. The controversy is that Spencer signed the fight, told by No Limit Promotions that there would only be one Australian judge. That has turned out to be a lie. He's saying he won't fight unless they figure out the judging. They asked Tim Tszyu for comment. He had a great quote. He said, "We won't need judges in the end. Don't worry about it."
Don't sweat the judges, Joey. Don't sweat it. That's not the plan for this fight. Now, I am curious. There's a part of me, the Dwyer in me, who sees a big underdog and starts thinking, hey, my hedge bettors, hey, players, let's actually break this down a little. Maybe Tim Tszyu is so damaged that Joey Spencer could come out here and shock the world down there. Is there?
Can I give you a line here from DraftKings?
How big an underdog is he? Like
minus 650 Tszyu the favorite, plus 450 Spencer. So they are giving.
That's not nearly enough. No,
they're giving respect to Spencer here.
I have no clue what's going on. They must think that maybe he is washed, because that's scary. He should be like a minus 1,400 favorite in this.
So let's be honest. Obviously, he took so much damage in the two fights last year that there is a possibility at 30 or 31 that it's affecting him. But I have to say, it was really just a bad style, like the same poor style strategy that Tim Tszyu brought into his U.S. debut against Hrgovic, where he came in not boxing at all, looking to go for the Terminator KO, and got dropped on his ass by a sharp counterpuncher, still won the fight. He brought that same style and attitude against a guy who's legitimately decent in Murtazaliev. And I do think the fact that his dad being in the crowd for the first time as a pro, or since his pro debut, whatever that was, I think that effed with him, the pressure and all that. I think if you can just clean it up upstairs, he'll be fine. Am I being too optimistic in this case?
I mean, I think that's more likely. It seems a little, no, that's too hard, right? It seems like if we start writing him off now, I would hit myself and say, no, mate, that's too harsh. No, too harsh. You can't do that yet. But it is the kind of, we haven't seen enough to decide, okay, no, something broke in that guy and he ain't coming back. But that can happen in the sport. Or is he one of these fighters that goes on I got a lot of talent, but goes on crazy sort of hot and cold streaks. Remember when Jorge Linares would all of a sudden like lose 4 straight by KO gets like increasingly worse opponent. Sergio Thompson down there in Mexico, like getting him out of there in 1 round when it was supposed to be like a comeback fight. It was like, and then he would come back and get his head right for a while and get the right matchups and
look beautiful,
win a title. Right. Look beautiful, fight beautiful, beat the crap out of Kevin Mitchell. Shout out to Hammer Time out there in the UK. It's like, I guess and that makes me want to see the fight. I'm curious to see how Tszyu responds. And if something crazy is going to happen, or is he going to look like he's back on the the road to riches or whatever?
What's crazy is if he didn't get elbowed in the top of the head in that nasty cut against Fundora, he was probably going to stop Fundora halfway through that fight. When he boxes and works off the jab and gets inside on you and throws those power hooks, he's one of the elite 154s. Dude, he fought so awful against Murtazaliev. It wasn't that his chin was gone. He didn't move his head or block at all. It was just like, I will knock you out. Watch this. and then he got lit up. It's like, come on, dude. So Natter is reminding you that please don't tell me Pablo Cesar Cano knocked
Yeah,
out
that
Linares.
was the next comeback run later on. It was the first time Linares went up to 140 pounds, and Pablo Cesar Cano, I
remember,
knocked him down
yes.
like 4 times, and it was over. And it was just like, what just happened here? Like Linares had looked okay. Man, I love me some Jorge Linares. Also,
Me too.
he had that phase where he started showing up to press conferences and weigh-ins in increasingly crazy, like steampunk glasses. Like he looked like he just got off a weird motorcycle or something. And
with his wife and a baby in a little carriage. Dude, he was at the Tszyu Murtazalia fight too. I think he's working for the WBO, maybe. Like he shows up a lot holding their belts in the ring. So
is he still based in Japan?
I don't know these
He was
answers.
a model there,
He's so handsome, that man, though. Shout out to him. The co-main event will see Endry Saavedra, who was in that brawl against Mateo Tapia, which was the co-main to Tszyu Murtazaliev. He's a no-limit fighter. He'll be taking on Mikaela Nielsen, 10 rounds middleweights. I know you don't care. I'm not going to be on that call. I don't know who is, but you can check that out Saturday night on Prime Video. Let's go Saturday to Las Vegas. Top Rank's back, and we're going to get a close-up here. Richard Torres Jr., the American Olympic heavyweight, who's been fighting fat white guys on a consistent basis. He's got a main event, first time, 10 rounds against Guido Vianello. I'm going to look up Guido Vianello.
He's an Italian Olympian who I think they came out promoting sort of hard, and then I think they might have lost.
He's the dude that 2 fights ago in April of last year, he lost a split decision to F.A. Ajagba.
Yeah. That's credible. I didn't watch that.
I remember him. Yeah,
credible.
He's fun.
Right. Sometimes he comes to the ring in like a gladiator outfit. That's some kind of fun.
He is 13-2-1 overall with 11 KOs, 30 years old, lives in Las Vegas, from Italy. My favorite Italian fighter ever was Gianluca Branco, who fought Gatti that time. Yeah, I love that.
What about your man Ken Patera?
Oh, Francisco Patera. Yeah, that guy's. I think he's Spanish though, right?
No, he was Italian.
Really?
Yeah, his style broke motherfucking backs like Ken Patera, man.
Dude, is Richard Torres legit or not? He's a southpaw. He's rugged. He's built, but he fights stiffs.
I mean, he's a prospect. They're bringing he was an Olympian. They're bringing him along slow. They're giving him the top rank, sort of regimen of pies. I haven't been I haven't been looking to write him off yet. It just seemed like, especially with heavyweights, it makes sense to sort of bide your time if you're not old and get experience and wait for the right opportunity. And this is a very good heavyweight era. You might want to wait some of those guys out and see if some stiffs show up in a couple of years with belts, and maybe you get one off of them. I mean, Torres, I remember him more from the Olympics when I paid closer attention to his fights, because he's just been fighting he's been fighting pies as a pro. And he looked like he knew, he was a fun fighter. I remember my takeaway being he seems a little slight of build for the modern heavyweight division. I think, what is he only like?
He's 6'2".
So probably actually 6 feet tall.
Yeah,
probably. Where does he weigh in? Does he weigh in over 220 pounds?
I'll tell you, his last fight, he was 236. He's been typically in the high 220s or right around 230. So
which is a healthy fighting weight for him, except he doesn't seem to have a ton of power
he's 12-0 with 11 KOs. But there's
against
pies.
who? Yeah. Pies.
Well, let me tell you, he's got 3 notable, like borderline notable wins. 2 fights ago, he won a 5th round DQ over Joey DeWedgeko, our guy from Philly, who just got sent to hell in BKFC. He also beat Curtis Harper by 8th round TKO. That's the heavyweight who had that PBC.
If Curtis Harper is willing to get in the ring against you, then you already are underachieving versus Curtis Harper.
Well, Curtis Harper, don't forget, he had that early PBC brawl with Areola that was so fun, but then of course he ran out of the ring against Ajagba. And also there's one other guy that is of note. Where is it? The guy that's going to fight Deontay Wilder, Tyrell Herndon. This guy whatever his name is, stopped him in the second round.
Yeah,
Richard Torres Jr.
Look, I like Fresno. I like the Central Valley of California. I think he's fun, and I think he's pretty good. I just think with his size and what we've seen so far, he got. I mean, granted, he was fighting against like a seasoned pro who in Uzbekistan is still allowed to fight in the Olympics, but Big Beck sent him to hell in the Olympics, right?
Yes,
and it's it makes me think that he will be competitive and fun, and a guy who when he steps up, I will enjoy watching his fights. He'll present some challenges. He'll kind of have like a Bryant Jennings level career where, where he'll get a couple of title shots maybe, but never quite get over the hump. And it won't necessarily be because he's a bad fighter. I think it'll have a lot more to do with he's just not special enough as an undersized heavyweight in this era to overcome what he's going to need to really be one of the top in the division.
I think that's a fair way of putting it overall. So that's your main event.
But also, maybe I need to change that because most of that opinion was developed before I had a mustache, and Richie Torres has a great mustache. I might have to show a little more solidarity with this man. I think
you should. By the way, did you see the big Uzbek Bakodir Jalalov is going to go back to a third Olympics rather than stay a pro?
You touch my tra-la-la. Good for him.
Yeah, shout out to that guy.
So if they let this guy do that all the time, I'm still mad that the Olympics wouldn't let Manny fight.
I know.
That would have been so much fun. Also, because he probably
again.
loses in an Olympic style boxing match, or he might, especially late, like in his mid 40s. Like it's not a guarantee that just because he's Manny, he goes in and washes those guys.
Yeah, didn't Hassan and try that and
it didn't work out for him.
It didn't work out. Hey, co-main event 22-0 Landolfo Delgado, the unbeaten junior welterweight. This is a good fight. We'll take on Elvis Rodriguez of Cuba. Elvis Rodriguez was a very big hyped prospect until he got upset over 8 rounds by Kenneth Sims Jr. Recently, Elvis took a decision from Kendo Castaneda. He also stopped Victor Postal in 2023. Do you care about this matchup?
I don't think so, no.
All right. Abdullah Mason, one of Top Rank's bright future stars, just still, I think, 20 years old or so, is going to step up 10 rounds lightweights against Carlos Ornelas. Are you into that?
You got to be. You got anytime that guy, good for him. He's very active. How busy do you want to be, Abdullah? Very busy.
Yeah.
Busy. Yeah, no, that's fine. Why not?
Abdullah just fought on Valentine's Day and he beat that guy, Manuel Jaimes, who had just fought Rolly the fight before. So he's climbing.
I'm fucking beat that Hyman up, huh?
Do you know a lot about Ornelas? I'm going to look up this guy. He is 28-4. He's from Mexico, 30-year-old southpaw. His losses are to guys you never heard of. But look, I want to see it. All right. Yeah, he lost to Rafael Espinoza, the champion.
Oh, great. Has anyone considered going with Abdullah the Butcher?
I hope they would do that.
That'd be pretty good, right?
Brilliant. Yeah. It's so good. A bunch of other young names on there, but nobody of major note. Also Saturday, let's get
Thank you. I've been waiting. Why you teased the bag on me for so long on this? Just Freddie Roaching it there, playing with the bag.
Astana, Kazakhstan on ESPN Plus.
Kazakhstan forever.
Janbeck Alimkhanuli will defend his IBF and WBO middleweight titles.
I looked at this name
in one of the sport's worst divisions, but I do like Janbeck and I do think he's class. He will take on Anuel Engam Misengui. 12 rounds.
I believe they pronounce it anal
massage.
Mr. Gooey. Yes.
Dude, Janbeck's
this is like a Dwyer Super Bowl of names. Has Dwyer done this yet? We got to pull up YouTube while we're on. How can you watch YouTube while you're on YouTube, Brian?
I don't think so.
Am I blowing your mind right now?
So Janbeck is now 32. He's 16-0 with 11 KOs. He unified titles against the guy you never heard of, Vincenzo Gulateri. Last fight, he stopped Andre Mikhailovic in Sydney, Australia. He also stopped Hassan Endam back in 21. He beat Rob Brandt. He's arguably the best middleweight in the world, although shout out to Carlos Adames. What are you expecting here?
I expect a quick knockout. This guy he's fighting is like the last guy his last opponent had like a 12-30 record or something.
Oh
And
yeah, you're right.
I mean, it is a jobber fest on this one.
Okay, but 2 fights ago, Anal Massage beat unbeaten Fyodor Cherkasian, who was for a brief moment a PBC prospect from Ukraine.
Well, kudos to him for that. He's being flown into Kazakhstan to get, set back into someone else's anus, man. He's done.
Oh my God. He's 14-0 with 9 KOs. His Anal Massage. He is born in the Congo. He lives in France.
Oh, oui.
Okay. Co-main event, Sultan Zauerbeck will take on Azinga Fuzili, 10 rounds junior lightweights. And it says here on Dan Raphael's schedule that the big Uzbek,
Big Beck, he's back.
Bakodir Julalov will take on TBA, 10 rounds heavyweights.
All right. Is that look? I hope that guy has a full pro career someday. It would be nice to see
one day.
I mean, also like he has zero. I'm sure he unfortunately or well, I don't know. It's not my place to cast judgment on it, but I bet he does not have a whole lot of say in which way his career goes.
He has zero.
He is fighting for country or fighting for his life.
He has zero charisma and zero urgency. But when I called that Showbox main event, dude, the final round, he finally put it on that guy and got him out of there. Like, he does have power, dude. But he's like 6. He kind of looks like Vitaly in a way.
Doesn't he also do like cartwheels and stuff in training videos?
I don't know.
Madrimov are doing all their weird gymnastics together. All these things that like, oh my God, these guys are so athletic. And it's like, well, yeah, then they get in the ring and they look like everybody else.
There it is. Let's go to the final card of note, I believe. Saturday, Manchester, England on DAZN. And there's a lot of talk that our boy Joe Joyce is washed and he will be in a dangerous fight.
He's washed in it, mate.
10 rounds. Heavyweights against Filip Hrgovic. Hrgovic previously undefeated. Of course, he was stopped by Daniel Dubois as part of that comeback nearly fighter of the year campaign. To update on where we're at in the Joe Joyce experience. Remember, when he was a prospect, he was like 35. The Juggernaut is now 39, 16-3 with 15 KOs, but he's lost 3 of his last 4. 2 knockout losses to Big Bang Zhang, and he lost a 10-round decision to Derek Chisora in July of last year. He did stop Joseph Parker, though, back in 22. Rafe, is Joe Joyce washed?
I think so, yes. It sounds harsh, but I think he is washed. Big Bang Zhang, I think, got to him, dented the chin in a way that it never, his whole thing was you could hit him with a 2x4 and he would just keep lumbering at you in that weird, awkward way and throwing these weird arm punches and his hands were so heavy that it would wear you down. And he hasn't been able to do that. Like he's getting knocked out now because, whatever, the punch resistance appears to be gone. And Hrgovic is he runs hot and cold. He's got talent, right? He's a well-schooled boxer, another former Olympian, has power, but also, doesn't really bring full effort for every round. He's a guy who you don't feel super certain about what kind of effort or show you're going to get out of Hrgovic every time he steps in the ring, but he usually does uncork a few good. He's orthodox, right? I think he uncorks a couple sharp rights that will test a fighter's chin, and in this case, I think you got to expect him to have enough to beat the kind of Joe Joyce that we've been seeing. Shout out to the Juggernaut. He was fun, man. He was so much fun. But you can't take that many punches forever.
I mean, he once broke Daniel Dubois' face. Like, the guy's done some good things in his career.
Look, anyone he fought during that stage of his career, he was going to be a nightmare for, an absolute nightmare. And it basically wasn't until, the house of cards fell down, and without that chin, the way he fights, he doesn't really have another way to be effective in the ring against good opposition.
Joe Joyce, according to DraftKings, is a plus 275 underdog. The minus 370 favorite is Hrgovic. And if you're wondering about the Richard Torres fight, Torres is only a minus 220 favorite against the plus 172 Guido. So that'll be an interesting heavyweight matchup.
If Guido fought to a split loss to Ajagba, that's probably a better performance in terms, like all around performance, or a better result than anything you could point to in Richie's career, right? I mean, it's like, okay, you beat 15 pies. At least I've been in the ring with a decent fighter already and almost won.
All right. Also Saturday from Philadelphia on Pro Box TV, Nicholas Flaz will take on former Olympian Gabriel Maestre, 10 rounds welterweights. Do you care?
I don't think so. Should I?
Not really. There's a couple showbox level names on that undercard, from Rene Alvarado to Kent Cruz.
I like the Alvarado brothers.
Yeah, Antonio Moran, who got sent to hell that time by Haney. A few of
the
those
only
names.
Person in the history of boxing who's been sent to hell by Devin Haney.
Also Saturday, no American TV, but in Potsdam, Germany, Tina Ruprecht will in fact, yes, this is an undisputed matchup. Tina Ruprecht versus Sumeri Yamanaka, part of the brother-sister Yamanaka co-champion siblings, will have an undisputed women's atomweight championship. Will you care?
What weight?
Atomweight.
Atom? Like ATOM?
Yeah, probably like 89 pounds.
They're as small as atoms. Wow.
Yes.
No, I don't care. I don't even know who these people are.
Saturday in Tokyo, no American TV. Yamato Hata will take on Takuya Watanabe. 12 rounds, junior lightweights. Will you find time to care?
Nope.
All right. Before we turn off, couple notes here from the folks. Hank Williams Jr. has a few notes for you, Ray. First of all, Rafe, Hank Williams IV, you got to apologize for disrespecting Melvin Jerusalem in the last episode. He is a proud two-time Filipino strawweight champ and defended against Shigioka last weekend.
Sure, sige, pare, pasensya ka na. I'm sorry, Melvin. Next time na lang, ha?
Yeah. Also from Hank, who's the Filipino whisperer today.
Oh, I leave like this.
Danny Nietes, the Filipino legend, returns next week at the Alorde. Have you been to the Alorde Sports Center in Metro Manila?
Yeah.
All right. Screwed. Oh no, that's the great. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Thank you for that. Guess who's here? Our guy, Alan W. Who? Thank you, Alan, for always supporting us. Rafe, you've been tossing that salad again with the balsamic vinaigrette.
I admit it. I like a nice balsamic. I throw a little like really strong Dijon mustard into it. I used to go into Canada to get some good stuff, but now I'm kind of afraid to cross that border. Yeah, they're gonna fuck
Windsor?
me up.
What is that? Windsor?
Windsor is right across the border. Sometimes we go to London, London, Canada, which is it is what it is over there.
Is Windsor Ontario. Canada's equivalent to Tijuana, where you can go over the border and do illegal things?
It is Midwest Tijuana, yeah. Or at least nice. That was the reputation of. Then Detroit, eventually decided, just like during the bankruptcy years, to put up a few to allow casinos in their downtown. So now, Detroit's Greektown Casino, MGM Grand Detroit, and the Motor City Casino down there, they take more of the local audience from. It used to be, but I remember when I was in college, all the Midwestern people I met would be like, "Yeah, man, we're driving to Windsor, man. We're gonna go to see some strippers."
Yes. And that was what Niagara Falls, Canada was for my era of strippers. Drink under 21, or so was Montreal, by the way. Obviously,
that's farther,
St. Catherine Street. What?
I mean, but Niagara Falls is just on the other side of the border.
Yeah,
Montreal is way up there. Right?
It is, but it was only a 5.5 hour drive from where I was from. So if you wanted to go to Club Super Sex, you could go. Also from Hank Williams, I want to say Mickey Roman is back next week. Good Lord, he has a record of 70-14. And Hank says he's now looking for one last title shot. Remember that war he had with who in 2016 on HBO? Who was it?
I do remember the war.
Salido? Or was
sounds
it
about right? It might have been
one of those guys.
Look, Salido has had a war with everyone in boxing. It just
history.
Happened. Look it up.
Finally, oh my God, Alan W. Thank you for your support of us right here. We do appreciate that. Nick Ball's chances against Inoue. Ball is getting fluffed a lot. I haven't bid on it yet. No diddy. That's hilarious. I will say, dude, it started off where everybody was like prediction meta, Spence by meta. And I agree with that, by the way. Inoue by murder. Now I'm seeing a hipster comeback online where a lot of Brits are like, no, he has the perfect style to give Inoue the problems, and find out that we have weight classes for a reason. This pocket rocket is going to get booted Okay, like a 63-yard field goal from that guy who had the half foot. All right.
I'm curious where I've heard the UK take that, oh, there's a style issue here that could really favor Ball. I don't know that I really see it myself. And usually when they say this, they're not really articulating what Nick Ball is going to do stylistically to overwhelm Inoue. I don't see it yet. I did hear what's his name? Carl Frampton was early on this, and I do love me some Carl Frampton. I mean, he was, fun fighter, fun commentator when he does it, and he was quick to call out those U-turders or YouTubers like BC for kind of making a wee bit of a mockery out of our sport, ain't it? But no, Frampton said that Ball gives Inoue trouble. I don't see it yet. I mean, he's gonna come in, and when he does, he's gonna get hit with a lot of punches.
Yes.
Inoue is smaller, but it's sort of, it hasn't gotten in his way yet, and he's and Ball is probably shorter than Inoue to begin with, but he's thick. He's a thick boy. That boy is thick. I give him that. He's thick and quick.
Thick as
and his name is Nick.
Real quick here, BC participated. Well, I've seen some screw jobs in Montreal. I've seen it. I can't speak publicly on a lot of that, but I have seen some ish there.
Is Club Super Sex still open?
I don't know, but that was like elite. Like elite. Mr. Cunningham, do you ever drive to Flint and Filip on the tap water? All right, enough of that. Thank you very much. Hey guys, thanks for playing today. We really appreciate it. That's Rafe Bugs. This ain't Birdo. Thank you. This is there you go. Thank you for hanging with us. We're degenerates. We love boxing. We love you guys. Rafe, anything you want to say to these weirdos?
Janbeck Fight Week, baby. We'll see you all in Kazakhstan.
There it is. That's how we do it. Okay, we do it like we do it. Do you feel like we do? No, I did not just purchase sex, Sandine, so I don't feel like you do. But thanks for playing. I'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. with one of those BC Ramble things. Follow Rafe Bugs on Twitter at Rafe Bugs and at Tayawapang on
Chopang. Yes.
What does that mean? Uncle
Rafe.
Oh, Uncle Rafe. I like that. All right. Rafe bathroom in the house. Look, get inside your own box. We'll see you guys later. Thanks for playing. You always get one more of this intro because it's badass. Here, we call it an outro. Enjoy.